Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, good morning. How's your life today? I hope all of you are in a good condition. Okay, today I'm Ulfia Dayana from TBI-B class would like to give my review from what I've got from the 10 meeting of teaching English as foreign language that taught by Mr. Gofur last Tuesday. Okay, on the 10 meeting, we'll talk about several kinds of method that we can use in the teaching and learning process. For the first method is community language learning. In this method, it has several kinds of technique. For the first is tape recorder students conversation. In this technique, the student native language is their common language of the group. In multilingual groups, the student can use their gesture to get their meaning across, and then the conversation of the students is recorded in the target language. And then for the next technique is transcription. In this technique, the student conversation in the target language is transcribed by the teacher, and then each student will translate his or her utterance in their native language, and the teacher will copy them. And then for the next technique is reflection on experience. In these techniques, the student reflect on how they feel about the language learning experience, and then the teacher will show understanding of their response. Next is reflect listening. The student will relax and listen their own speaking in the target language on the tape, and then the teacher may read the transcript, and then the student may mark the word as the teacher reads transcript. And then for the next technique is human computer. In this technique, the student choose some part to practice their pronunciation, and then they will say the word in the control of their teacher. They will repeat the word as much as they want. And then for the last technique is there is a small group task. And this technique, the student in a small group will ask to make a new sentence, and then the group share sentence with the class. Later, students work in pairs to make sentence with the different verb conjunction. Okay, next we will continue to the next method, exactly Suggestopedia. In this method, we can have several kinds of techniques. For the first is first concert. In this technique, the teacher will read a dialogue to call the student attention to some particular grammar points. And then next is grammar concert. In this technique, the teacher will simply read a dialogue. And then the next is primary activation. In this technique, the student will reread the target language dialogue loudly. And then for the next technique is creative adaptation. This technique helps the student to learn new materials and use them spontaneously. And then the aim is to create communication rather than form of linguistic message. Okay, for the third method is whole language. In this method, there are several kinds of techniques. For the first is individual and make a small group writing and reading. In this technique, the student will read literature and they will read from the authentic materials. The student will create a story, they write, letter, and etc. And then for the next technique is upgraded dialogue journals. In this technique, the teacher will respond regularly to what the student write. And then for the next technique is writing portfolios. In this case, the student will write their own experience in a story and then put them into portfolios. And then they should think through and list what strategy background and special resources are needed to produce. And then for the last method is multiple intelligence. In this case, there are several kinds. The first is logical or mathematical. This ability is to use a number effectively, to see abstract pattern, and to reason well. And then for the next is visual or spatial. This ability is to orient oneself in the environment, to create mental image and a sensitivity to shape, size, color, and etc. For the next is body or kinesthetic. This ability is to use one's body to express oneself. And then for the next is musical. This ability is to recognize tonal pattern and a sensitivity to rhythm, pitch, melody, and etc. And then for the next is interpersonal. This ability is to understand another person's mood, feeling, motivation, intention, and etc. And then for the next is intrapersonal. Intrapersonal is to understand oneself and to practice self-discipline. And then for the last is verbal or linguistic. It used language effectively and creatively. Okay, I think that's it from reviewing this subject. I do apologize if there is any mistake. The last I say, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. See you everyone!